Hi, welcome to Filmaginations, a podcast about your favorite TV series and films. Every few weeks, I will cover a different one and take a deep dive into what happens on the screen and what my favorite moments are. Today's episode is about the 2017 British romantic drama film called God's Own Country, written and directed by Francis Lee. The cast consists of Joshua Connor, Alec Sekeranu, Gemma Jones, and Ian Hart. A young sheep farmer in Yorkshire struggles with his responsibilities and his life usually frustrates him. When he picks up a Romanian migrant worker who joins them on the farm, everything changes. I'm gonna start by saying I really don't appreciate starting the movie with vomiting, but mainly because I can't stand the sound. I do, however, understand it was important to show how unhealthy Johnny's habits were. Staying up all night, drinking, not eating much. Everything to numb his existence. Moving on, I like how they showed us the harsh reality of living on a farm. There's always work to be done, no matter the weather. Never-ending responsibilities, which, as we can see, become a problem to the main character. He tries to help his father and grandmother, but he also wants to have a life, so to speak. According to his family, he needs to focus solely on the farm. Everything else is a distraction, taking him away from what's important. He's having a hard time accepting that. He feels trapped in a life that is forced upon him. As I've probably mentioned more than once in other episodes, I love films that offer the beauty and quietness of nature. I very much enjoyed everything they gave us in God's Own Country. It was breathtaking. As briefly touched upon before, John is not a fan of his responsibilities. We can really see him struggling. He does everything with a great amount of effort. He has no mental or physical strength to do what is demanded of him. However, we can also see that he truly cares about the animals. We can, for example, see that when the baby cow dies. He has a big heart, but at times lets anger and disappointments take over him. One of the reasons he is so cross in general is the fact that he gets nothing but disappointed looks and never-ending instructions from his family. There is never a word of appreciation. If anything, it's disapproval of his choices and behavior. Very quickly, we find out that Johnny is gay. He finds a cute boy to fuck at the cattle market. Just something to take the edge off. He's not interested in getting to know him or even kissing him. I admire Josh's acting during that scene. He shows the disinterested and a bit disgusted attitude really well when Johnny is asked to have a drink with the guy. It's clear he's trying not to get his emotions involved. Yet everything changes after they call you Geordie or summit. That's when the plot between our two boys begins. Johnny picks up Georgiev with a car as he is about to start working for his family on the farm. The ride home is quiet. It will be a while before they connect with each other. Johnny shows Georgie the caravan he'll be staying in and is obnoxious towards the guest for no reason. Seems like he's trying to scare him off. He's clearly unhappy to have him there. He calls him names and shows him how much of a shithole his home is. Georgie is not discouraged though. He is thankful for what he has been given. He only reacts when Johnny calls him gypsy and stands up for himself. I really liked that. He's in a foreign country and somebody else's home, but he's not afraid to speak up. When Georgie showed up on the farm, I assumed he was there for longer, but turns out he is supposed to stay for just about a week and help Johnny with lambing. Johnny expresses the injustice of life in a conversation with an old friend by the pub. We learn that people he knew from high school went to study and left his hometown and he is stuck there, bound by his responsibilities. His father had a stroke and is no longer capable of taking care of the farm on his own, and he needs his son's help. We also hear the reality of farm life. There is no break from it. Day in, day out, you care for the animals. They cannot wait until you come back from having a night out. He always needs to be there for them, and due to that has no time to have a social life. It is pointed out that Johnny used to be a laugh, but he joined the real world and now it's like his soul left him. It seems that the conversation really got to Johnny, and instead of going home early and sober enough, he ends up coming back late and practically unconscious. In the morning, Johnny learns that Georgi already fulfilled his duties while he was sleeping. His father is not happy. They get into an argument in front of Georgia, but eventually continue out of his view. However, he starts peeking through the window to still be a part of it. He's observing Johnny, and what's his problem? Now it's time for the boys to camp where the lambs are. It will be nothing but them, nature, and the animals. They'll be sleeping in sleeping bags on the ground. When they arrive, Johnny is still sour towards Georgi, but this will change not long later. Georgi's big heart can be seen multiple times in the show, for example when he saves a lamb that was inbreeding once born. He's not discouraged by Johnny, who is being a smartass as always, making comments and not appreciating Georgi's effort. Johnny is either insulting him or simply being quiet around him at the beginning. So they mostly work and relax in silence, communicating through short glances. They focus on what they are there for. I actually enjoyed the quietness of their interactions. We were watching them develop as people, but also as partners. I need to point out that I absolutely adore all the lamb scenes and every scene that shows us the nature they are surrounded with. It warms my heart. I am very thankful they gave us so many scenes where we can appreciate the landscape. The movie, in general, is very raw, which I quite liked. We see lambs giving birth, the guys living in dirt and mud and showering with a cloth and a bucket, no soap, deodorant, etc. I think it all painted this very real picture of what farm life is. No luxuries, just living with nature and fulfilling very basic needs. There is a very important turning point in the movie, and it's when Georgi finally got tired of the Jipper word. He pushed Johnny to the ground and covered him with his body. I like how with very few words, Georgi was able to explain he knows what Johnny wants from him. I was impressed that he figured it out. And quite quickly, actually. He knew that the insults were a way to provoke him. To do what, you may ask? Well, I think we all know that. I love how close they are in that scene and how surprised and taken aback Johnny was. The heavy breathing, the nose to nose, hands on each other, a very intense moment. After that confrontation, Johnny keeps observing Georgi and eventually makes a move on him the next morning. They push each other and eventually end up on the cold, muddy floor with Georgi on top of Johnny. He's dominating him for a while, but gives in a moment later. Georgi wants to kiss Johnny, but he is opposed to that. He goes straight to fucking him, but he refuses. So Johnny settles for sucking him off. Both of them are already black from the muddy ground, but they don't care. The raw arousal takes over them. After that scene, we jump to them waking up the next morning and, funnily enough, not really talking. Like nothing has happened. They get on with work. Georgi, being himself, appreciates what he has around him and keeps talking about how beautiful it's there. He represents so much peace and calmness. Johnny looks uninterested and a bit lost when he hears that. He always focused on how much he hated that place. And now there's this foreign person acting like this shithole is a miracle on earth. Not only that, Georgi is also trying to get Johnny to open up to him, to talk to him. He wants to connect with him through more than just sex. This is something new and terrifying to Johnny. Later at night by the fire, Johnny is still not speaking. Can't even say basic things like please and thank you. And when Georgi keeps looking at him, trying to connect, Johnny says goodbye and goes to sleep. The next scene we are given is very powerful, but also sad. One of the lambs died, but thanks to that, they were able to save another one. Johnny is really impressed with Georgi. He had a great idea and saved the lamb that had no mother to feed her. And look at that, Johnny is smiling. It might be the first time since the film started. That was a very beautiful moment. Johnny is slowly but surely starting to like Georgie. They even start bickering with each other. And there are many more smiles to come. During one night, something changes. Georgie starts stroking Johnny's arm, gentle as always, and he intends to teach Johnny how to make love, not just have meaningless, rough and quick sex. He shows Johnny, very patiently, without words, how to approach it differently, tenderly. He starts with small touches and kisses, and then proceeds to take off his clothes, slowly, carefully. Even though Johnny rushes into undressing himself, he also starts watching Georgie very intensely, following his rhythm and what he's doing. Georgie starts roaming his hands slowly up and down Johnny's chest. And Johnny is clearly enjoying that. Johnny kisses Georgie after much hesitation. This is a very intimate moment. I enjoyed that scene very much. Johnny got caught up so much in what was happening. He learned there and then that sex could be as much about the act itself as about intimacy. When the sun rises, they're still naked, surrounded by straw and pallets. It all fits the rawness of the film. Well, Georgie has a sweater on, but apart from that... Something important happens when we see them like that. Georgie strikes up a conversation and Johnny finally gives something back. It's clear Johnny starts actually liking Georgie. Unfortunately, they have to leave the place they were staying at. But before that, Georgie goes to enjoy the view one last time. And Johnny seems to finally get it and see the beauty of the nature he's been surrounded with for so long. Georgie is happy to see him enjoying that. When they're back home, Johnny is a bit more tense. He cannot openly enjoy Georgie's presence, even though he'd very much like to. However, when they're sitting in front of the TV, he keeps stealing glances towards Georgie and rushes his grandma to leave the room. He starts becoming giddy and happily in love with Georgie. It's cute to see. He kisses and touches Georgie as soon as grandma leaves. He wants him in his bed, but Georgie declines. He thinks they'll be safer in the caravan. So they spend the night there, enjoying each other. Johnny was reluctant to fully commit, but opened up more and more to tender touches and kisses from Georgie. There is a very clear picture showing. I'm scared, but that feels too good not to try. So they act silly when they have a chance, just a bunch of idiots in love. Unfortunately, one of the silly playful moments ends tragically when they come back from having fun in the lake to the news of Johnny's father being in a hospital. That was a very scary moment, and as much as Johnny and his father had their differences and disagreements, they loved each other very much. So when he's lying in a hospital after his second stroke, Johnny is lost for words. It hit hard when John said, "What if they say something I don't want to hear?" I like the small gesture Georgie does, tracing his finger on Johnny's hand. The boys go back to the farm to take care of the animals, and Georgie tries to support Johnny, stopping his angry outbursts. I like how they can speak to each other without words, but I wish John would say thank you to Georgie at least once. But I guess he's not there yet. Considering current circumstances, Georgie says he could stay a bit longer. Until Johnny's dad gets better, and Johnny is very smiley about that. We can see them spending time together in the house, since both father and grandma are still at the hospital. There is a scene that really touched me and made me see the character growth. It's when John asked Georgie how he says things in his native language. He went from insulting him due to his nationality to being interested in his language and possibly culture in general. John is eventually faced with the reality that his dad won't get better, that he might survive but forever not be able to work anymore. He did what he usually does when life gets hard. He decided to drink his sorrows away. This time, however, he brought Georgie with him. Before the disaster comes, John is asking Georgi questions when they're sitting in a pub, and I like that very much. However, when the conversation turns serious, Johnny is not sure how to react anymore. He keeps on drinking and eventually gets annoyed with Georgi. He leaves him and goes to the bathroom where another guy seduces him and Johnny stupidly cheats on Georgi. Meanwhile, very sadly, Georgi gets insulted at the bar, and when he stands up for himself, he gets kicked out. So he quickly goes to the bathroom to get Johnny, but what he doesn't expect is to catch him cheating. He's hurt and devastated. He leaves the pub immediately. Johnny has the audacity to be surprised when he can't see Georgi anywhere when he leaves the bathroom. Johnny finds Georgi leaving his family farm, and for the first time we can see Georgi being angry at him. Johnny really fucked up this time, and he knows that. Now he needs to take care of the farm mostly on his own because his father is in a bad condition after the stroke. And, most importantly, he lost someone he loved. He tries to move on, but it comes back to him when he finds Georgi's work uniform. He goes to the caravan and takes out his frustration and anger on the furniture. When his rage ends, he finds the sweater Georgi was using and takes it to his room. He puts it on and gets nostalgic. I bet he's wishing he could turn back time. One day he plucks up the courage and calls Georgi's phone, but only a voicemail answers him. Life goes on, and Johnny has to take care of his father, which includes bathing him. It's a very difficult thing for them both, but I love how his dad thanks him by taking his hand. He appreciates the help. Johnny's nan is looking out for Johnny, and one day she points out that Johnny should get some rest. She doesn't want Johnny to end up like his dad, wanting to do everything on his own, and this costing him his health. So eventually Johnny makes a decision and discusses it with his father. They have a heart-to-heart, and Johnny says he needs and wants to get Georgi back and make it work, but on his own terms. His dad agrees and tells him he did a good job. Finally, Johnny heard a word of appreciation. Johnny gets ready to go and get Georgi back. His nan gives him location info that Georgi left for him. I'm glad she supported Johnny with his decision. Johnny goes to the farm Georgi is working at and falls asleep waiting for him to show up. When they finally stand eye to eye, Johnny is trying to do small talk because he's a bit afraid to say what he needs to. Georgi is reserved, waiting for Johnny to tell him why he's really there. And obviously Johnny stupidly asks, "Why did you just leave?" One look from Georgi confirms his suspicions. They end the conversation without Johnny even saying sorry or explaining his visit. Georgi knows, of course, but he needs him to spell it out. Johnny finds the courage before it's too late and tells him how he feels. He said, "I want to be with you." Well, finally. I'm glad Georgi forgave him in this cute way, mimicking a conversation they had when they started getting along. Johnny knew that he got him back at that moment. I love the kiss and the hug they share. Johnny starts crying, and I knew he meant what he said. I hope they will have a nice life together. What do you think? Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed this film as much as I did, and had fun remembering what happened following this episode. I will be back in a few weeks. See you then. Bye bye.